Joshua chapter 13 in the Bible is one of those chapters that just has a lot of information. Yeah, you get about a third of the way into the chapter and you see a lot of names, a lot of countries, a lot of places. It's talking about the division of the land, and the phrase clan by clan comes up over and over again and again. Clan by clan, God divided up the land. They received their inheritance, clan by clan. So all these different things. It's a chapter with a lot of detail. And there's something really good about that. There's some chapters in the Bible where some might read them and think, boy, that's kind of boring. All this detail, all these names, all these places, all these clans that have nothing to do with me. But it kind of does have something to do with you. Remember that God is the one who's responsible for the content of all of these chapters, which means that God knows all of that detail. He knows all the people, all the places, all the clans. He knows all of it. And it's good to have a God who knows the details. Just think of Easter evening, as Jesus appears to his disciples and he shows them the hands that were pierced and shows them the side that was pierced. But Thomas wasn't there. And the disciples, later on, they told Thomas that they saw Jesus alive, but he wouldn't believe it. He said, unless I see the nail marks, unless I see the wound in his side, I will not believe. He doubted. That's why he's known as Doubting Thomas. And then the next Sunday, the disciples are all together again, and suddenly Jesus appears, and Thomas was there too. And Jesus knew the details of Thomas's doubts. Before Thomas said a word to him, Jesus spoke to Thomas and said, Thomas, see my hands? See my side? You don't have to doubt. You can believe. He knew Thomas's doubts, and he responded to them with love. He always does. Go back just a couple of days. It's the book of John. And it's talking about Jesus getting ready to celebrate the Passover with his disciples. And there's a verse in the book of John that says, and Jesus, knowing what was about to happen, knowing that the hour had come, and he knew the details of what was coming, the cross, pain, the weight of sin that he would put on his shoulders, how he would allow himself to be crushed by it. He knew. And then right after it tells us that Jesus knew all of these things that were coming, it says something really significant. It says, having loved those who were with him in the world, he loved them to the end. He loved them to the end. Nobody would blame him for walking away from all of that pain based on what he knew was coming. But he didn't. He didn't. He loved. He loved us to the end. And he will love you. He knows your doubts. He knows your fears. He knows your sins. He knows your losses. He knows your troubles. He knows you. And he will not fail to love you all the way to the end. Rest well tonight, my friends.